Hello, this lesson about cutting your hair canvas, but before you do that, I would like to remind which canvas is which. So your first canvas, and that your main canvas, is your hair canvas, and it comes with different weight, lightweight, medium weight, or heavy weight, and also can be darker grey as well. Your next canvas will be your chest canvas, and if you touch it, it's quite springy as well, and it's very tough as well. The edges, which is quite important to identify, is the edges of that canvas is a little bit sharp, and also you can see the horse hair sticking out as well. So can you see that? So they are very sharp, and also can be sharp quite on the edges there. Okay. Your other canvas, which is a brass felt, is easier to identify and it's nice and soft, comes with different weight and sometimes different colors, but we mainly use white or off-white. Right, now I already pre-cut for you the canvases. So we're just going to talk through them. So the first thing when you are cutting your canvases, make sure you cut on the right grain. So the straight up grain of the canvases goes the same as on your mourning coat, and which is along your center front. So that's where straight up grain. Your seam allowance is 2.5 seam allowance goes along your side seam, 2.5 around your armhole, 5 centimeters on the shoulders, 2.5 along your neckline, 5 centimeters along your front, and 5 centimeters at the bottom or along your drop waistline. You also will need to cut your dart out, and I will explain to you later how to put the dart together. The main key information you will need to transfer is your break line, which helps us later with matching patterns. Can you see that? Our next canvas is your chest canvas. And with the chest canvas, you add your seam allowance along your armhole. You add seam allowance, 5 centimeters seam allowance along your shoulder line, 2.5 neckline, no seam allowance along your break line or your chest line. Just to reiterate, 2.5 along that seam allowance along your armhole. And again, like your previous canvas, your straight up grain goes along your center front. Now your breast felt, it's similar seam allowance, and we put 2.5 along your neckline, 5 centimeters your shoulders, 2.5 along your armhole, no seam allowance on the chest line or your break line. So with the breast felt, you don't need to follow your straight up grain, as you can put that pattern in any direction, so it would not affect anything. So now, if I put all together, just to check, make sure it's all been cut properly. So my seam allowance are marching or along the neckline, shoulder, and armhole. Then I put my breast felt together again. My seam allowance are marching along your armhole, shoulders, neckline. But the other lines they're not together. Can you see they're away from the break line, and also they away from your chest line there. Okay, so that's quite important for you to do that. All right. Thank you very much. Any questions, please do email me. See you next session.